photographic memories, and they only have to hear something once. And song came on while they were waiting in the car, and then Mason was like, just singing it. And the song goes, the naked Dutch painter in the kitchen does not wanna fuck you. She's like in her car seat with her pacifier in her mouth. Naked Dutch painter in the kitchen does not wanna fuck you.
Tom, funny you should say that. Tom just, we were at dinner, and we were at Maudie's in Austin, if you've ever been, and they play music on, like, very, very low, where you can talk, and it's a Mexican food restaurant near our house. And he starts going, fuck you up. I was like, what? Fuck you up. And I was like, and Jen and I are like, what do you, oh, kiddo, what are you saying? He's going, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up. And I was like, uptown, funk you up. Funk. And he's going, funk. Say it again, Daddy. Funk. Let's just not sing that song. Let's just... Sorry, go ahead.
My question is, which one of the villains from Supernatural do you like the most? This question is for the both of you, and if there's
She's
one,
here somewhere.
and if there's one which your least favorite, if there is one.
I always personally thought Ruby #2 was pretty hot. She's somewhere. I don't know where she is.
Me too.
Excluding my wife, I think my favorite villain has been, and possibly always will be, Lucifer.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Well played. My least favorite, I don't know if this is like my Jared's perspective kicking in, but were the bugs, all the bees. And we filmed bugs in season 1 with like 30,000 or 40,000 bees, actual bees in a room. And they hired real bees, and
they had to interview each bee. The audition process was really grueling. I don't like that one.
but it was exciting. I mean, the buzz in the room about... but they made us film with actual flying bees that were all drone bees, and they were like, don't worry, as long as they don't get pissed off, they won't sting you. And we're like, what do you do to piss them off? And like, you know, if you hit them. And we're like, we're in a scene where we're swatting bees. Like, what are we, how? And they're like, no, well, don't hit them, just guide them away. And so it was gonna be a scene of Sam and Dean like this. And we were like, no, if a bee flies at me, I'm gonna swat it. And so we did, and we all got stung. And then we watched the episode, and we were like, oh, it looks good. And they're like, yeah, they CGI'd all the bees in. We're like, what? Like, yeah, they had to use computer animation to put bees in because the actual bees didn't show up on camera. So we're all sitting there like getting stung, and we finally watched it like, oh, we had to use CGI anyways. Like, why did we all get stung with bees? And here's another fun part. When you film with a bee, at least in our world, they have to test to see if you're allergic to bee stings. So what they do to test to see if you're allergic to bee stings is they sting you with a bee. Not a word of a lie. They get giant tweezers like you see like insects and stuff being caught with, and they grab a bee and they put a little piece of wire mesh on your arm, and they're basically holding the bee and the tweezers, holding the wire mesh onto your arm, and you're sitting there like, what am I doing with my life? This is weird. And they put the little bee stinger in through the wire mesh and sting you. And you're like, ow, that sucks. Like, why? Okay. And they're like, well, we gotta look. And I guess the wire mesh just makes sure like the poison or something doesn't all go into your arm, but you still get stung with a bee, and so you're sitting there like, I'm literally just holding my arm out to get stung by a bee. So that sucked. That's my opinion. Mr. Misha?
Were they union or non-union bees?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Okay. I don't know what I actually agree with the Lucifer Pellegrino's
thank you.
version.
No, thank you.
Pellegrino's.
No, thank you, dude.
Pellegrino's.
Oh, that's great. Oh, dude, Lucifer, he is. The white suit and stuff. Yeah, thanks, man.
And least favorite is that's a challenging one. I hear that Bugs was a lot of fun. You guys have talked about that very fondly for a long time. Gosh, I guess Mark Shepard. No, that's an actor on the show. I don't know what is it bad? What are some other villains that we've had on the show that were not fun to work with? Leviathans were that was a little creepy. That mouth was kind of disgusting. And yeah, I think Leviathan is a good answer. That's a good answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi.
Hi. I have a question for Misha.
Yes! It's awesome.
During season 6, when Castiel was watching porn for the first time,
Yeah.
Did you influence in your...
what was on the screen you were watching? Did they actually came up with a pizza man and babysitter movie?
Wait. Rewind in your brain to make sure you heard what you just heard before answering this. Will you say it again?
If it actually was a pizza man and babysitter porn on the screen, or what you were watching during the film?
Slightly different wording this time.
Yes. Whenever you see a screen, like a monitor, like when we're filming, whenever we're filming, you will see, for example, you'll see me on the computer doing some research, right? But the camera will be on the other side, so it's just showing the back of the computer, right? You're not seeing the screen. What will be on the screen there will be an image of a naked man sitting on a bed with a penis that comes down to him. The thing is terrifying. This is not a joke. So, and the reason that this happens is that they'll say there's somebody who can control, what comes on the screen remotely, right? And so camera will be on, I'm doing research, and then that pops up. And it's very difficult to keep a straight face at that point. So that does happen. Also, we'll have magazines sometimes.
Yeah.
Will also be
Bust the Asian
magazines. Some serious shit going
So
on.
they
in
use
magazines.
the Busty Asian Beauty magazines for some reason, and they don't need to put it outside of like actual Playboys and porno magazines, but because they're putting a fake cover and a fake back onto an existing magazine. I mean, it could be
It could be Better Homes and Gardens or something like that.
People, TV Guide, it could be anything, but they use actual like pornographic magazines. Like, guys, you can use. I mean, it's just it's a little interesting. Yeah, those are our deepest, darkest secrets. Yeah. Thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a serious question for both of you.
Great.
Well, you know, it's difficult to choose a profession. And have you ever thought about another profession, or maybe have any doubts in your choice? And what advice can you give to us about choosing a profession?
Are you saying that we should consider another profession?
She's saying maybe your true calling is elsewhere.
Elsewhere? Yes. Your talents lie elsewhere, boys.
Choosing a profession is very, 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 very difficult. I just read, there's an American comedian named Dave Barry, and he has a list, he calls it 19 things that took me 50 years to learn. And one of them is something to the effect of, never confuse your career with your life. And then he goes back and says, let me say that again, never confuse your career with your life. He has great lists, like somebody who's nice to you but mean to the waiter is not a nice person. So he's very funny. But I would try to, gosh, it's really difficult to answer this question from this perspective. I think I feel very lucky and blessed to be doing what I'm doing. I was going to be an engineer, go engineering, but I kind of happened into this. I worked very hard at it, and I know he did as well. Try to do something that, it doesn't need to make you, there are times when this job doesn't make me happy. There are times in this job, there's nothing like it. There are other times when I'm like, man, why can't I just be a teacher or something? So don't set the standard so high where your feeling is, man, if this job doesn't make me so happy each and every day, it's wrong. But try to do something that doesn't specifically make you unhappy. If there's something that you enjoy more often than not, this may be awful advice. Look for something that you're into and realize that everything at some point in time is going to be work and it's going to be a sacrifice and it's going to suck. No matter how cool your job is, you could be an ice cream taster. Sometimes you're going to be full of ice cream, you know? And that was my dream as a child, was to be an ice cream taster.
You know what's really weird? Right before coming on this trip, I was explaining to the kids, like, hey guys, I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks. It's really hard on them at this age. And I was like, I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks, and I just want you to know why I'm doing this. I'm doing it for work. This is part of my job, and I have to do this, you know, so that we can pay for food and for our house and for our clothes and stuff like that. And I love you guys very much, and I can't wait to come home. And Wes said, well, Dad, could you maybe just get another job, a different job, where you didn't have to go away? And I said, like what? And he said, you could be a taster. No joke. He said you could be a taster. Isn't that amazing?
My boy. That's my boy. You saw us eating that gummy bear together.
That's, yeah.
Try to do something that there's a great quote, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But even if you love what you do, there will be times when you hate it. So just try and do something that you enjoy. That sounds like a paradox, but yeah, just something you enjoy.
I would echo what he's saying. I think that I mean, especially if you're interested in a career that's kind of creative and maybe a little bit of a long shot, like acting is, or writing, or anything in the arts. I have seen a lot of people hide in other work. So they'll get a job that takes 40 hours a week that's doing something that isn't really what they want to do, but they tell themselves they have to do this, but what they really want to do is something else. And I think it often ends up becoming an excuse to not pursue the thing that they really want to do. I actually really believe that if you really want to do something, you have to kind of be willing to take some risks and make some sacrifices, and maybe, you know, when you're starting out, not make very much money doing it, or live on your parents' couch while you're doing it. But if you throw yourself into something that you love, and you do it with passion, and if you make it about the process, not the product, like you enjoy the work itself, I think it's almost impossible not to be a success in some way or another. So yeah, same advice, said different.
Speaking of enormous success, hi everybody. Hi. You said the safe word, success, and it triggered me to come on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Mishalecki and Jared Painel.